Islamic Republic of Pakistan and particularly the Muslim world, money has been a factor which we all seem to be struggling with. Now, when we want to address money in Islam, we have to see the philosophy of lawmaking in Islam and the permissible limits that contain and determine the parameters within which any aspect of any society or any factor in society has to be viewed. Now, money is something which is also one of these factors that has to be addressed. So the limitations in Islam that have to be viewed towards the laws that determine the management of money, the creation of money, the dispensation of money, are based on few basics. Number one, Islam does not support any form of oppression. Islam does not support deception. It supports truth. And it does not support economic hegemony as is rampant in this day and age. In addition to this, there are of course limitations of the hudud, and there are limitations of halal and haram in Islam. This being the bedrock on the basis of which we have to view money, we will see that the current money as is manifest is a medium of exchange based upon printed paper and transiting from printed paper into cryptocurrency or currency which is managed online. Now the world is toying and playing with this concept of the medium of exchange. But we need to see the definition of the medium of exchange first and then move on. The medium of exchange is a facility provided by a government to a population within politically defined social territories to add credibility or provide an ease for transactional purposes. So what does money basically support is a facility for the purposes of value exchange. Now, if you take away money as is manifest in the current form, then we are left with barters. In the times gone by in history, money in its own right was in the form of gold, was in the form of something tangible, and therefore it represented intrinsic value in its own right. In this day and age, be it printed paper or be it cryptocurrency, it has zero intrinsic value in its own right. It is therefore a document issued by a government supporting or facilitating value exchange. So essentially, from the Islamic perspective, money as is manifest cannot be a commodity. It is essentially a medium of exchange guaranteed by a government, restricted to a political territory where transactions do take place, and then for international trade or for value exchanges cross borders, it has to be a uniform basis of the medium of exchange. That means if I am buying something from outside the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, I need to buy in a currency which is linked to a tangible, and I have to sell in a currency which is equatable with the currency and is universally the currency which I am buying in, and that has to be universally equal. The factor of equity in Islam is significant in establishing this particular paradigm insofar as considering money as a medium of exchange. Now, the circulation of money or the extent of money that should remain in circulation within a politically defined territory has to be based on the asset base which that political territory or that country does possess. It is therefore crucial to understand that the concept which the permissible limits in Islam support is a currency provided by a government for the benefit of the population to facilitate transacting within the political limits of the country where the government is in office. This money, therefore, has to be backed up by an asset base, and insofar as an Islamic society is concerned, it should essentially be based on any tangible like gold or the natural resources of the country that the country has been endowed with. Let's move on to from the definition aspect of the currency as I have just narrated to the effects of what is happening currently when we are not following the Islamic concepts on the presence of money in any particular country or social environment, particularly the Muslim world. What is happening right now is the surrender of our natural resources, of our services, of our intellectual property rights, our extent of labor to an intangible in the form of printed paper that we are relying upon and that we are linking our medium of exchange to. Now, this is essentially against the fundamental laws that determine equity in Islam. Ideally, what should be in place is a domestic currency to be retained within the domestic frontiers of the domestic territory which a country, because we are living in a world of nation states, to facilitate transacting, trading, sale of services and goods within the territory. And for external trading, the same commodity which is available for internal use has to purchase yet another medium of exchange which is internationally acceptable. The international acceptability of a currency has to be based on the factor of equality. That means if I am trading in 1 rupee issued by Pakistan and I am buying goods worth, or I am doing a value exchange, or I am selling goods to another country which is not Pakistan, the payments which I receive or the payments which I give must determine the same value, because money basically is therefore a document of guarantee. It's like a promissory note, it is like a document, an agreement representing value exchange. In today's day and age, when we deny this particular concept and we lean on the monetary regime as has been thrust upon the world, we are in effect perpetuating our colonized status, and we are abetting with colonists and those who are causing global economic oppression. If I were oil rich, if my country was oil rich, and if I was selling oil, and if I was selling oil and getting alien money, which I could not use at in the manner I would want to, I would have in effect parted with a tangible for an intangible, which is the current world order for monetary management. And even in the case of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, for instance, we have reserves in US dollars, which is nonsensical, because that US dollar is printed paper and it does not permit free usage. So essentially, in our case, in the case of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, to remain in sync with our ideology, we need to first tie the smallest denominator of our currency, i.e. 1 paisa, to a tangible, and we will use gold hypothetically right now for that purpose. That means 1 milligram of gold should be equivalent to 1 paisa. Now that will change the pricing structure. That will change the supply and availability of money and the demand of money. That will destroy the black economy by comparison to the formal economy. That will back integrate capital for the usage of production. Because when you want to view the degree of money that ought to remain in circulation within a society, the volume, and you would want to view in tandem, the worth and value of that particular amount of medium of exchange, you have to link it to a tangible, and that tangible has to be linked to production. Money therefore represents the extent of labor in an economy. Money therefore also represents, in tandem, the degree of production. So when you destroy the differentiation between formal and informal economy, and you surface and you use money for the purposes it is meant to be used, there are a lot of evils within the society that will almost evaporate overnight. So in the domestic scenario, we need to link and revalue the rupee on the basis of a tangible, i.e. gold. 1 paisa should represent 1 milligram of gold, and that should be free from any form of external influence or external usage. That means a rupee can only be used in Pakistan. It has a certain value guaranteed by the government, and that's the long and short of it. So when we want to go and indulge in foreign trade, we will be forced essentially to buy in terms of the weightage of gold as at a given date time. And we will be free from the political objectives of colonists or foreign governments in determining where we buy from and where we sell to, because we will be taking money in on the basis of gold values and we will be selling our products exactly on the same basis. This is fundamental. So when you were founded in 1947 and you wanted a monetary regime of your own, which the founder of this nation, Quaid-e-Azam, made clear in his first address to the central bank, that particular thought, that particular initiative was never put to use. We did not use our ideology to lean upon and give our medium of exchange a legal definition, status, and applicability. Today, when we want to develop our infrastructure, when we want to bring or empower, monetarily empower our population, when we want to develop and move in high technology, we are totally arrested because we are based and leaning upon a foreign printed paper. This foreign printed paper is the biggest deception on the planet today, and I am amazed at the religious leaders of all sects in all Muslim countries that have not objected to the denouncing of the monetary regime being treated as a commodity in place of being treated as simply the medium of exchange as it ought to be. The bank tender the medium of exchange, money, are all with a purpose which require legal definition, and that legal definition has to be in consonance with our ideology. Anything which is deceptive, anything that is oppressive, is unacceptable under the Islamic ideology, and therefore the current status of money is most certainly an unacceptable form for the medium of exchange, because it destroys compensation of labor. This absurd subscription to a foreign recipe has caused huge number of evils. It has caused brain drain in the country. It has restricted our ability to move forward in material technology. It has restricted the development of our infrastructure, our industrial base, and it has brought about untold miseries for the 221 million people that inhabit Pakistan. Our labor does not get compensated. The compensation of labor is based upon laws way before the foundation of Pakistan, i.e. 1906. The current compensation of labor, if it were based on a rupee or a paisa that was linked to 1 milligram of gold, would have brought about great deal of prosperity, happiness, education, healthcare, and industrialization. The production base in the country would have expanded, the GDP, and with it, the per capita income would have gone up. So, in the wish list of all previous talks identifying our problems and suggesting solutions, money as it ought to be and as it ought to be considered is fundamental, and it is upon us to revert to our ideology. Because going against the grain, we are going against our own selves. The current monetary regime of the world is deceptive and oppressive. It is not just. And the Quran is very clear about this, that everything that is just is good, and what is not good is evil. So let's not uphold evil, and let's settle for a change, and let's settle for it now for a better future. In the end, I would also like to make a point that should we adopt this, the linkage of our domestic medium of exchange to gold, it is my belief and it is my assessment that the 56 other predominantly Muslim nations on the planet nation states on the planet will follow suit. And most definitely, a commonwealth will emerge where the pressures of the current economic war on the globe between production and engineering of wars and sale of armaments will be forced to look at the emerging new commonwealth, because this new commonwealth I speak about, comprising the Muslim communities, nation states of the world, does provide more than 56% of the natural resources for production. The West have upheld the current monetary regime for one simple reason, that they are getting the best of two worlds. They are getting natural resources which are tangible for an intangible printed paper. And two, that because of this, since prosperity and development is not restricted to the availability of money in their economies, they have been able to invest into research, they have been able to invest into the priming of material technology, and therefore are leading global civilization at the head of it. It is time we recognize this, wake up to it, and cause a change. Thank you.